Hello everyone. So today my target is to explain you how to create a custom control. So I'll be teaching you through all the basics. This thought actually came across me once I actually read your mails, which was completely around, majorly around how to create a custom control and customize UI. Like I used to share the shift framework, so I came across a lot of comments and mails. So I decided to make one video where I'll be just touching the basics and not the advanced parts. So as you can see on the screen, this is just fresh Winforms. So all you got to do is create a new class library. So I'll be taking you through let's say color selector. So I'll just rename it as color selector. Once you have added it, so what happens is you are in this class library. Now there are a couple of scenarios. Few of them might like to create a external dynamic link library, and some may use the library within the WinForms itself. So if you are creating a custom library, I'll request you to add the references. So the basic references that I'll suggest you to add is uh, one is that is windows.forms, this one system.windows.forms, and the other one will be these drawings. So this one. So once you add that, I'll say you have to import them here. Import system.windows.forms. The second one will be import system.drawings. Apologies, I'm using a older version because I wanted to make it very simple and very basic to all of you to understand it very easily. So when I talk about creating a control, I usually say we have to inherit some kind of control. So you can inherit and create a new control in itself, or you can create something which is existing like picture box, label, and customize it. So let's say if I just, for example, I want to inherit picture box. So I'll type inherit picture box. So what happens is all the properties and all the functions of picture box will be available here. And if you see the events, so all of them will be equivalent to what is there in picture box. So for now, as I need to teach you how to create a completely customized control, I'll change it to control. So starting with basics, I'll create some variables and I'll keep on adding as per the progress and as per our requirements. So the first one will be I'll create a region. So what all things I need when I'm creating a custom color selector is the primary color. So then I'll take royal blue as current primary color. Then the second one will be the mouse over color. So then so I'll go with black for now. Then the third one I'll be looking for is if selected, what will be the color. So selection color, color equal to, I'll go with something similar to mouse over color. So I'll say I'll reduce the opacity to let's say 100, and I'll simply use this over here. Now for creating the image and the picture, so I need some brushes and pens. So I'll create it upfront. So dim br1 as solid brush, dim pen1. So there are two colors. If you see, one is mouse over color and the selection color. So I'll take a couple of pens, pen 1 and pen 2 as pen. So these are the primary things that I actually needed. So let's go ahead and create some properties around this. I like to kind of add the width of the mouse hover section. So I'll say uh, then pen width as integer. I'll currently stick with 2. So going ahead to the properties, hash region properties. So when you are trying to create properties, um, there are a couple of ways, but the most preferred method is to create one get and set function. So I'll just first take you through the basic one, which is public property. Let's say I'll take the primary color. So this will be the primary color as color. Now the function remains same till here. The next part will be, if you want to keep it simple, equal to primary color, but this limits our functions that we can actually perform. So what we can do is go ahead and type get. So we'll come across a get and set functions along with this. So what exactly happens here is, let's say I'll just quickly create a picture box for you. So in this picture box, if you see, these are the properties and these are the values that are being reflected. So these values are currently placed in this particular variable. And when you say return primary color, so this value will be reflected here. Let's say the primary color here for back color is control. So that is being reflected. Okay. So that's the crux of the get function. So what will set function do? So set function has by default a value. So whenever you go ahead and change the values, so let's say I'll change it to 77. So this value will be sent here. Now what you got to do is you have to change the primary color's value. So I'll do it by primary color equal to value. Okay. The main advantage of this particular structure of property is you can go ahead and add certain methods to it. Let's say you have changed the value. Now what you need to do, you need to kind of execute some functions. So functions or methods, it can be anything. So I'll say let's go ahead with methods. So for now I'll create one method region hash. So I'll kind of start creating one basic method which will take care of all the things, and then I'll just uh, go ahead and invalidate the complete control so that it draws on this particular control itself. Private, I need to keep it private, so I'm just taking the private sub update variables before invalidate. So here you can add all your variable updation stuff. So I'll just call it here. So this completes your primary color property. So moving ahead, I'll create all the properties, let's say mouse color and all that. I'll be fast forwarding it right now. So here, if you notice, what I've done is in all these points, I have used the same criteria, that is color. Whereas in this selection width, I have used integer as intended above in the variable itself. So moving ahead, I'll be kind of creating the criterias under my update variable before invalidation. So what all things I need to do in this is I need to update my brushes. So I'll just first update my brush one, BR1, which will be new solid brush, and the color will be my primary color. So what I'll do is I'll just copy it, paste it here. Now moving ahead to my pen one. So my pen one denotes to selection color. So pen one equal to new pen. So this actually reflects in brushes, but the variable that you have is in color format. So if you remember, what we did before is we used the brush and we stated the color inside that. So the same function will be used again. So I'll be using this here and then using the selection color, comma, now the width of the selection. So the variable representing it is underscore pen width. That's it. So this will be my pen one. What will be the pen 2? So pen 2 is for hovering state. So here I'll change the color to mouse hover color. Now after all the updations, I'll quickly go ahead and invalidate my control. So I have just quickly taken you through how to create properties, but now I'll create one another layer for the properties. So there are two ways to create properties. One is by using a boolean, because this one needs only two factors, whether selected or not selected. But under certain circumstances, you might need three or four variables. So I'll just take an example of it. Let me take checkbox first. Okay, so if you see the checkbox, in this you can see the check state. It is reflecting three of them: checked, unchecked, and intermediate. However, whether checked or not, you can reflect it in false or true, right? So true or false, then you can use boolean. Otherwise, you need to kind of create a custom parameter. So for that, we use enum. So I'll just quickly create a region. So this will remain public, enum. I'll call it selection criteria. Okay, so I'll see it here, checked. Okay, sorry, it will be selected or unselected. No, selected. Okay, so these will be the parameters that I need to see. So quickly, let's create a variable around it. So dim selection as, so I'll use this particular criteria here rather than using integer color. I'll use selection criteria, then equal to, I'll set the default state as not selected. You can use it as selected basis your requirement. You can customize your control as you want. So moving ahead, I'll create a property around it. So here I just need invalidate. I don't need to update my brushes, so I'll remove it quickly. So you can see it is accepting the integer. Why is it so? Because this will be denoted as 0, this will be denoted as 1. But for a safer side, if someone goes ahead and inputs 2, then it will be a problem. So what we'll do is we'll use the same selection criteria. So for your reference, I'll be quickly explaining you another two types of properties, which is read only and write only. So under read only, only the user can give what's the value in that, but under write only the user can set the value but cannot read it. So these are the two types of properties. I usually don't use them unless and until it's very much needed. I go ahead and create a custom function, public function on that. But let's say if you want to use it, I'll just say I want to kind of return selection status. So what I'll do is I'll create a custom property, public read only property, and I'll say selection status as selection criteria and return this. If you see here, I can't see the set function because it's a read only property. As I said earlier, it will only return the values and it will not accept any values. So in order to get the control on your form itself, what you need to do is you have to go to debug or build. You have to basically build the complete class or complete solution. Now what you can do is you can just see it under your components. So currently it's nothing but you cannot see anything on the control itself, but you can see the properties being updated here. So if you see, the selection status is just read only. I cannot do anything. It's a fixed one. However, the selection state is editable. It's read as well as write. Okay, so I'll go ahead and delete it. So moving ahead, now let's do some real stuff, which is giving it a new look in itself. So first I'll explain you how to do styling of the control itself. Currently the control doesn't accept any kind of transparency behind it. So let's say if I just create a control and I set the back color to transparent, it won't accept. It will say control does not support the transparent background. So what you need to do is you have to set a custom style. So for that, what you need to do is go ahead and type public sub new. So new represents a new control is being formed. Okay, so in this you need to type set style. So in this there are flags and values. So what does the flag represent? These are the control flags that is predefined in this particular set style function. And value represents, let's say if you are setting true value, it will enable it. If you are setting false value, it will disable it. So as per your needs, you can do that. So in this, I need supports transparent background. I'll go ahead, select it and say true because I need it. Okay. So way forward, I need few more control styles. Let's say I need resize redraw. Whenever the control gets resized, it will repaint itself. It will invalidate itself. Okay, so similarly I'll look for few more things. So let's say, mm, okay, so it's not mandatory for me, but I'll go ahead with optimize double buffer to avoid any flickering issue because we are going to paint things up. Okay, so after you set all these styles, just type update style. Okay, now I want my control to uh, look square at the beginning when I create the control itself. So let's say in this scenario, I'll set my size, me dot size equal to new size. Um, to be fair enough, I'll go with 30. Okay, and after that, I just want to ensure all the brushes and paints are available before my invalidation takes place. So I'll call that. Okay, so this will create a set. So I'll just build it and quickly show you that by default the size will be 30 comma 30. Okay, so that's the criteria. So moving forward, I'll paint this particular control. So for that, I'll select the control and go ahead with paint. Okay, so I don't think I need to explain this. If you want to learn how to paint, so you can just check out other videos. I'll quickly run you through the details, but I won't be explaining in depth how to use the uh, paint method. So I'll just set the graphics mode to smoothing mode to anti-alias. Then I'll go ahead and draw my controls. I want my control to be a round one. So e dot graphics dot fill ellipse. So first I'll be going with fill ellipse as I need the primary color to be uh, the first layer. It won't be above the selection layers. Okay, so primary color. So I already have the brush BR1. I'll just call that, and then comes the rectangle. So usually I have seen people use the new rectangle as client rectangle or 0 comma 0 and me dot width comma me dot height. So that's something standard, but I take it a bit ahead because so for creating rectangle, what I'll be doing is I'll say new rectangle. So my rectangle will start just after my pen width. Okay, half of the pen width, I'll say. Okay, so I'll just copy pen width. Okay, so C integer pen width by 2 comma C integer pen width by 2 comma me dot width minus pen width me dot height minus pen width. Okay, so this is my rectangle in which I need this particular thing to be drawn. Okay, moving ahead, now I need to check whether the selection status is selected or not. So what I'll be doing is if underscore selection equal to selected, only then I'll be drawing it. So e dot graphics dot draw ellipse. Okay, so here it will be pen. So for selection, my pen was pen 1. So pen 1 comma the same rectangle that I used earlier. Okay, so moving ahead, Now I have to ensure whether the mouse is hovering on top of this control or not. So for that I'll go with mouse enter and mouse sleep. Okay, so under mouse enter, so for this I need another variable, so I'll add it. I'll create a boolean, so dim mouse hovering as boolean equal to false. So I'll set the boolean here, so whenever it enters I'll set it to true, and whenever it exits I'll set it to false. Now this won't do the work. Okay, so you have to introduce invalidation of the control. That will paint the control again. Okay, so my criteria for paint will be if mouse hovering equal to true, then I'll just draw this second thing. Okay, so that's it. So this will be my sequence. So moving ahead, I'll show you how this has actually come up. So I'll just create this control. The color is royal blue. I can change it to anything that I am so comfortable with. So let's say I'll go with, let's say crimson. Okay, and I'll just change the selection status. You can see there is a selection that is taking place. So I'll just increase the opacity to 180. Okay, so now you can see. Okay, it's taking place. Okay, so now I'll just resize it. Now you can see it's completely flexible. I don't want that to happen. Okay, so what I'll do is, for now I'll just manually do it, 45, 45. But under this class I'll go ahead to the resize section. Okay, so I'll type me dot width equal to me dot height. So this will freeze it. Okay, this will only remain a square. Okay, so I'll quickly build it. Now you can see it's just that it's not free, it will remain square. Okay, irrespective of the size, the circle remains under the borders. So I'll just quickly go back to my primary size, which was 30, 30. I'm comfortable with this, so I'll just quickly execute it and show it to you how it works. Oops, it's not working. It's not getting selected. What's the mess? So you have to create the click function. So I usually go with mouse click. I don't use the click function right away. Um, so I'll say if selection state equal to selected, then selection state equal to not selected, else selection state will be selected. Let's say you have created the control, now you want to add more to it. You can do that. You can just go ahead and um, go to this mouse click. Where is it? Why can't I find it? Here. So this is mouse click. You can add it here. That's up to you. But I just want it when the selection state gets changed. You don't have any event around it. What you'll be doing? Oops, there is no event around it. So for that, you need to create a custom event. Okay, so I'll create public event. I'll call it selection status change or selection change. Selection change. Now there are a couple of ways. You can add sender as object and e as any kind of event args or anything arguments. You can add it, but I'll keep it simple. Now what I want to do is whenever the selection state changes, only then I want this to get executed. So what I'll do is in the set criteria, I'll add raise event selection changed. So raise event is nothing but whenever you kind of type something here, that creates a raise event. Okay, so here the code goes. So that's the criteria. But now there is another issue. Whenever I click it, I just by default go to the click function. I don't want it. I want to go back to this particular selection change by default. So for that, what you need to do is, so go to this and import system dot component model. Okay, now I'll just explain you how to set the default event. Before this particular class, you have to say default event, open the brackets, and set the string equal to this selection change. So it must be exact match. Okay, so I have set this. I'll go ahead and build it. Now I'll just quickly double click it. You can see by default it's this. I'll just remove it once again. If you see, the selection changed. Okay, now if you just go ahead and run it, you can see once I click it, it gets enabled. But I'm not satisfied. Whenever I take my cursor up, it's overshooting the circle, overshooting the control, and it's kind of giving me a boxier feeling. Okay, for that I need to kind of reduce the complete size. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll go ahead with into 2. Okay, I'll just replace it everywhere. Now you can see it's perfect. Okay, I'll just quickly change the size so that you are also satisfied. Now it's cool, right? So that's it from my end, friends. So this is how you are going to create your customized control. This was particularly towards color selector, but you can create a number of controls and a number of type of controls for your UI by yourself and not relying on any kind of frameworks that will cost you hundreds of bucks. I don't want you to kind of pay for that. There are some excellent frameworks out there, but even I'm not recommending you to use my own framework. I want you to kind of go ahead and create your own control, rely on that. That's more secure. Thank you.